Well, as you folks who have been watching the show know, that we've been working with Steve Johnson from the print media. He has a website. We'll give you the address to the website in a little bit. But we're working on interviews with him, so he's going to ask a couple of questions to Kurt, which I'm sure he has. And we're just going to turn it over to him. So I hope Mr. Busiek doesn't mind, but we're changing it a little bit. And go ahead, Steve.
You're still on Avengers, right? Is that?
You're somebody different. I was being asked questions by somebody else before.
I'm the same person. I just look and sound different.
Oh.
Inside, I'm the same. Inside, I'm still Larry.
Oh, I know how that works. I write characters like that.
Well, speaking of which, are you still set up to do Avengers?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've turned in the first plot.
Okay.
George is working on it.
George Perez back on the Avengers.
I'm very excited.
How is that going to differ from Thunderbolts?
Well, they're good guys.
Okay. But what major differences are there?
Well, I realize that in modern superhero comics today, the line between good guys and bad guys is not all that different. But in Avengers and Thunderbolts, I mean, the Thunderbolts is a very different kind of team. Thunderbolts is a team with a hidden agenda that is engaged in a single overarching mission that all the other stuff is a part of. The Avengers is a very open organization. I mean, we see the Thunderbolts concentrating on their mission, and it's only in the latest issue that we've seen them out of costume. The Avengers, they live in the mansion, they have lives. We're going to see a lot more private life stuff because in between missions they don't figure out, oh, how else can we defraud the public? They think going out to a movie would be nice. So it's a different flavor. I think of the Avengers as cosmic adventure as the context for character drama, and they're Marvel's varsity. The Thunderbolts, simple tagline for them is they're wolves in sheep's clothing. It's a book about intrigue. It's a book about false identities and things not being what they seem, about shadows and mystery. So it's a very, very different book, even though there are superheroes in both. It's just the way that the Avengers have always been different from the Fantastic Four. The Avengers will be different from the Thunderbolts.
So you think the Avengers will be more cosmic than, say, Astro City, which is also about adventure revealing character?
Astro City is the Avengers will be superhero thrillers, which is what we avoid in Astro City. Despite the fact that we're currently in Astro City working on a 6-part story about an alien invasion, what it's really about is it's about a kid who comes to the city who wants to be a kid sidekick. I don't think anybody's wondering, oh my gosh, are the aliens going to take over? I think the focus is on Brian and on his viewpoint on the superheroes and villains and all that stuff, because that's what Astro City does. In Avengers, the focus would be on, oh my God, are the aliens going to take over? On the fight, on the thriller, on the suspense. So Avengers, in this case, like Thunderbolt, is an adventure book. Astro City is not.
So Astro City is a drama.
Astro City is a book that where we're trying to explore what else the superhero story can do other than adventure.
And they still fight aliens and supervillains, but that's sort of that's their day jobs.
That's the context for what's happening in the front of the story. Just like if you've read any Dick Francis novels, they're murder mysteries, well, mysteries anyway, set in the world of racing. And every now and then somebody races a horse, and they win or they lose or whatever. But that's the backdrop. It's important to what's going on, but it's the context against which the story is told. In the world of Astro City, the superhero stuff is the context against which the story is told, but the story is not about who wins the fight. If I ever write an Astro City story about who wins the fight, I will throw it away and start writing again. But something like Avengers is just like, here's Kang, he's back, Zodiac is doing this, The Masters of Evil are doing that. Ultron is rebuilding himself out of something even tougher than adamantium. What are you gonna do, Avengers? It's very much a roller coaster ride, thriller sort of thing, and so I want to do Avengers to see just how well we can do the kind of stuff the Avengers are supposed to be doing. Astro City is trying to find out, well, what else can we do?
Okay.
Comics are very good at this. What else can the superhero genre do?
Well, there are well-made action movies,
Sure.
and they're poorly made ones, so
Mhm.
try and push it as far as you can. The Avengers, like a lot of characters in these movies where something's always happening, tend to wait for something to happen and then deal with it. Whereas the Thunderbolts are, you say they have this mission, but really they're all held together by Zemo.
Mm-hmm.
And were he to even falter in his iron hand over them, they fall apart. At least that's the way I'm reading it.
Well, actually, I think that personally wise, they're more held together by Meteorite. Zemo
Okay.
is in charge, but Meteorite is like the den mother.
And she is sort of taking over behind the scenes or trying to.
She's working at it, but if Zemo fell apart, they wouldn't have as much drive.
Right.
But I don't really think they'd drift apart immediately.
Well, he has to expend a lot of effort to keep them from giving away their secret, of course.
Well, they've worked a lot on that in training, but they slip up here and there, even him.
And of course, he's just a guy with a mask and a sword, so he's relatively easy for him to be taken out for a bit.
Well, he's a 60-year-old guy, but he's very good at what he does. He's an accomplished hand-to-hand fighter and swordsman. Sometimes fans say, "Hey, when did Zemo get to be such a good fighter?" And I said, this is a guy who can last 2 minutes against Captain America. If you can last 2 minutes against Captain America, you can last 15 minutes against anybody else. So he must be a good fighter. Otherwise, you go up against Captain America, the best fighter in comics, you just go down.
So yeah, that's true. He's defeated a lot of actually fairly tough guys in one punch or one issue. So Thunderbolts is an open-ended story, then. It's not
Yes.
going to go for like 12 issues and then explode.
No, the fans are convinced, it seems, that the Thunderbolts is a limited series and is going to come to an end. But it's not. We have more surprises in store. We have new directions, new twists, more, better, cooler.
Are they going to be interweaving with the Avengers when they come back?
Not interweaving. I don't like crossovers. I think that crossovers are, when crossovers happen very, very, very rarely, they were a cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh look, the Fantastic Four are fighting the Hulk, the Avengers have to go help. That was a lot of fun. But these days, when it seems like there's at least one crossover going on every month, and sometimes 6 or 7, I like guest stars.
Okay.
I think that if you want to have Iron Man meet the New Warriors, you don't do a 6-part story that crosses back and forth between 3 issues of Iron Man, 3 issues of New Warriors, and oh yeah, let's bring in Night Thrasher and Nova, and let's make sure that if you want to read this story, it's going to cost you $37. If you want to have Iron Man meet the New Warriors, have him show up in the New Warriors. He doesn't have to be referred to in Iron Man. It could be referred to, but it doesn't have to be a part of the story. The Thunderbolts are going to meet the Avengers. The Avengers will be in Thunderbolts 12. The Thunderbolts, in turn, will be in Avengers 12. But that's not a crossover because it's like a year later.
Okay. Now, Avengers 12 is one that's coming up in about 2 weeks, I believe.
No, not that Avengers 12.
You're going to start over from number 1 again.
That's what it looks like.
Okay.
I mean, at the moment, Marvel's pretty well got 3 choices. Avengers can start up with number 1, it can start up with number 14, or it can start up with number 403. Either way, it's going to be the same story.
You'd prefer 403, I assume.
All things being equal, 403 would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
All things are not equal, however.
Oh.
And number 1 will get like 30% more copies into the stores on the shelves for people to see them and maybe pick them up than a number 403. So I'm in favor of a new number 1 because, fans who want it to be 403 are usually concerned about history and tradition and respect and all that sort of thing. My feeling is George and I got that covered.
Okay.
No, we got respect coming out of our ears, pal. The measure of respect for the past history of the book is not governed by what number is on the cover, but by what's between the covers, and I'm confident that people will be happy with what we do. What I want is I want as many people as possible to try the book, to take a look at it, and see whether they liked what we do. And we will get a lot more people trying a number 1 than trying a 403.
I guess so.
So, I mean, I would prefer that the numbering remain continuous, but it's not. You know, a year ago, they broke the numbering.
Well, that's true. Number me among the people who'll pick it up, whatever you call it.
Well, thank you.